The market's getting crushed. Real estate in the multifamily sector is getting crushed. Syndicators are dead to the world. Investors are flocking like birds flying south for the winter, but yet we're still building ground up multifamily real estate. Goodness gracious, how? But we're taking a reduction in doors, and the reason why is going to blow your mind. Look, one of the biggest reasons most people fail is because they get stubborn. And when people get stubborn, they go through denial, they land up at a place where they cannot continue migrating forward because they're not willing to take a small step backwards. Now in life, I tell people, never go backwards in life, never. Always progressively move forward unless you take a small step backward to take a giant leap forward. It's all about momentum. And what most people don't understand about real estate is it's the exact same concept. And so people ask me, Jerome, you had in excess of 1,300 doors, almost 1,400 doors. And I'll give you the exact numbers here in just a second. And you went all the way down to like 1,200 doors. Why would you reduce your portfolio? And are you going to continue reducing your portfolio? And my answer is, if it makes sense to reduce my portfolio to take a giant leap forward, 100%, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it strategically. And here's why. Because in a perfect, magical, Alice in Wonderland fairy tale book, there's always a happy ending, right? The big bad wolf is going to blow your house down. The last house is brick and you can't blow the house down. Well, what if your happy ending doesn't have that happy ending? It's not a storybook ending and your house does get blown down. Now you just have to start from scratch and all over again. So when I sit back and I look at stuff, I'm assessing it based on real world economics. Now, I have assessed all my builds and all of my projects that we have under ownership at a worst case scenario. So when you start getting to a worst case scenario, you sell, because that's your worst case scenario. And if your worst case scenario is, hey, I'm going to make a profit, it's not the profit I once wanted, but it's a profit that allows me to migrate forward. So I take a small step backwards in the quantity of doors I have, but I'm going to take this liquidity and I'm going to go into the new 2026 market, the new era of the 2026 economy, and I'm going to restructure to be able to boom. Okay, now what does that look like? Let's talk about this for a minute, because we had a portfolio where we had 1,365 doors of multifamily that were ground up builds with the exception of 2 buildings that we owned. Now, we also have a little over 1.1 million square feet of retail that we also own. And now we have just a little tiny bit over 300,000 square feet of industrial warehouse space that's LEED certified, and about another 100,000 square feet of just random old warehouses that we own. So altogether, we're sitting at about 400,000 square feet of warehouse. Now, the warehouse is performing right now. We're not selling any of that. The retail, believe it or not, is all performing right now. We're not selling any of that. But we're really sitting back because our newer product is multifamily. So why would I go from 1,365 doors down to 1,231 doors? And what is the logic behind it? Is Jerome in trouble? Am I losing money? No, it's strategic, because when I get to a number and you understand how to underwrite, you can underwrite. And once you get to a place where your underwriting sits back and shows the writing on the wall where it gets to your worst case scenario, what do? You sell your asset. And so you don't ever want to hold on to an underperforming asset. So when the writing's on the wall that the economy is otherwise putting pressure on a certain demographics, a certain area, and your asset starts to perform less than it should be. In fact, one of the assets that we sold 2 different assets, okay? One of them is under contract right now. We're projected to close in 30 days. And the other asset is also under contract, projected to close here in just a few weeks. Now, the people that are buying are going to get a great deal. They're going to get a great deal. And they're going to be able to ride the wave up. But you have to sit back and go, am I willing to ride this wave? There are projects that we've been in for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and we've ridden our wave. We built them right, and we've cash flowed right. And now they're at a place where they're kind of cash flow even, and we have to manage and put a lot more time into these assets, where when someone coming in new has the energy to be able to do so, but our time is more well spent taking new stuff out of the ground. And so we had one asset that started performing at about a 95% occupancy, and it was at about a 93% economic occupancy, meaning that we were collecting rent on 93% of the 95% occupancy. The rest were like rent concessions that we had given to people to move in and just small stuff. And our economic occupancy I started looking at our bank account, and the amount that was getting deposited every month kept going down, but my occupancy numbers were still looking good. They were lower than before, but they were still in the lower 90 percentile. And so for market variables, it was good. But when I looked at my economic occupancy and I started auditing the books, we were in the 70 something percentile in economic occupancy. And we had 1 month that we went down to 68% economic occupancy, meaning our property management were floating leases, giving away a ton of free rents just to keep the physical occupancy where it needed to be. So we're looking at the books. We look at it 92, 91% occupancy. We're going, okay, cool. We're going up against market variables, competing for rent and absorption. And we're in a less affluent area on a couple of these assets. And now all of a sudden, we're starting to see the flavor of the economy in the bank accounts. And so I sit back, I look, I go, well, we need to go in. Our property manager's not doing their job. We call the property management company. They say, well, our on-site manager, we've had a lot of problems. We don't have a maintenance person, this, that, and the other. They're charging us for this stuff, but yet they're not producing or performing. So now we start driving the property a lot more and we start showing up a lot more. And every time we go, sales offices close. We're wondering why economic occupancy is down, but yet it's down, but there's nobody there selling. And we have a perfectly brand new, beautiful office for them to work out of and no maintenance person. We're noticing that little handwritings on the wall, a little bit of graffiti, move in, move outs. Walls are getting drugged with furniture across them. Garbage bags are dripping across the concrete where it's starting to show wear and tear because nobody's maintaining that stuff. And we're talking about a product that's less than a few years old. And it looks like it's a 20-year-old product. If you want to learn how to develop and evaluate multifamily, whether it's small multifamily or large multifamily, drop me the word multifamily at 505-560-0520. And let's start building multifamily today, and let's go ground up. And so we go in, we clean it up in less than a week, and we demand a new on-site property management company. Now we have to get into micromanagement. All of a sudden, miraculously enough, 30 days later, we're sitting at about 80% economic occupancy. 60 days later, we're at 85% occupancy. 90 days later, we're at 91% economic occupancy, and the physical occupancy back up to about 94, 95%. And so was it really the economy? You can use that as an excuse, or you can understand that there's a management component when the market is less than perfect that has to be implemented. Now, do we want to invest that type of time into these assets long term? You got to be able to rely on your property management company and your professionals. There's always an involvement that it takes from an ownership group. But once that amount of time becomes greater than the value of what you're getting in return, that's where you start considering to sell. So these two less than perfectly operating developments, because of demographical locations and where they sit, we decide, hey, you know what? Let's give somebody else an opportunity to take the upside on these assets, knowing that there is a massive upside on it. We could either sit in them for another 5 years and take massive upsides for ourselves, or we can invest that time and the money, the equity that we have in there now, into a different asset where we can watch the growth come today versus 3-4 years down the road. Where for somebody else, they come into it fresh and they get the upside growth from today moving into it, and they can come in and they can micromanage it for a little bit and just make sure that it's right. So what we landed up doing was we shed off 2 different apartment complexes equaling up to 134 units. One was a smaller one was a larger one that was a little over 100 units, and we're down to 1,231 units. Now, under construction right now, we have a 26 unit and a 36 unit small development. Those are not going to add to our portfolio. We're going to sell those. So we're going to come in, we have another development that's about to break ground that's 150 units. That we're going to keep. Now, we're buying an apartment complex that we're undergoing a 220 unit purchase. Most people say back, go, Jerome, you're not a buy and hold person. I'm an investor. I'm a developer. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a business person. I'm going to strategically position myself to either build or buy whenever I find a good deal. And we have this unique deal where we can go in, purchase 220 units, it cash flows today, and that's going to add to our portfolio. So over the next 12 to 18 months, at worst case scenario, we're going to be back up to 1,601 doors. So we're actually increasing our portfolio at a time that we're also decreasing our portfolio. The stuff that isn't worthy of our time, we're going to go back in and invest that time into something that helps us elevate. And so we're going to get 1,601 doors in less than 18 months, and the potential of getting up over 2,000 doors in that exact same time frame, provided the right product comes to us in the market. We want to be that fresh buyer in a fresh market, in a 2026-27 market, that now we know what the writing is on the wall and the new economics of higher interest rates, higher cap rates, lower valuations, absorption, performance, and everything that's going on with inflation, we're able to position ourselves to be able to go in and take better product out of the ground easier and be able to go in and start earning, having larger earnings on newer assets to our portfolio. So never take a step backwards unless you're willing to take a giant step forward. And so sometimes to create new momentum, I have to kill some of the old momentum that's dragging you backwards to be able to create forward-going momentum to help us increase our portfolio. I'll project that we'll have over 2,000 units in ownership over the next 18 months, and I will challenge my 1,601 units that I have on the books right now today to be able to push out another 400 units and to go from 1,365 doors to over 2,000 doors in less than 18 months, where we're decreasing our portfolio today to take a giant leap forward tomorrow and create new economics in a new environment with the new terms and conditions of this 2026, 2027 economy, that it doesn't look like it's migrating out of the current variables anytime soon. Let's create the variables and create a market for the 2026, 2027 market, because this is the economics that's going to help you parlay forward. So take your small step backwards, ladies and gentlemen. Shed off your dead weight and let's take some giant leaps forward. Let's go out and let's create wealth in real estate, but let's do it wisely. Let's do it smart. And let's understand that there's market variables that are greater and bigger than us, as powerful as we are mentally. Ladies and gentlemen, for more economic knowledge in real estate, just like this, click and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Pound that thumbs up button. And until next time, go out and compound your success, and we'll see you on the other side.